I think everyone watching this video has somewhat of an opinion on where RuneScape should be taken to in the future when it comes to content. Whether that's more early game content, more bossing content, or more skilling content, we all have our own opinions. But what does Jagex think? And do they even have an opinion on this? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, quickly before we get into this video, if you didn't enter the bond giveaway in the last video, make sure to do so in this one. Make sure to comment banana bread and subscribe because we will be giving away 2 bonds when we hit 1000 subscribers. If you already entered, there's no need to comment banana bread in this video. Enjoy. Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Jagex and today we're going to be talking about the future of RuneScape and if Jagex even has a clue on where to take it. And I generally think that they're torn. I genuinely think that because they are caught between two thoughts, I think, and that's something I want to really explore in this video. But I think this is the most indecisive I've ever been about a subject that I made a commentary about. So definitely, I know I ask this every single video, but with this one I definitely want to have as many perspectives in the comment section down below, because I'm really curious about what you guys think on this. Because as I said, I'm really indecisive. I usually make these commentaries and think like, this is my opinion on it and this is the facts on it, or, you know, either of those combined makes up one of my videos. And I do my research for my videos, of course, and I can be wrong sometimes, and I try to admit that because, you know, I'm not perfect and I miss some things as well. And I mean, I might miss this one quote somewhere or this one tweet somewhere, but this one is really based off nothing. I did all the research I could by watching the Mod-Keeper livestream, because obviously he's the new executive producer of RuneScape, and I thought maybe he would say something about the future of the game, but he didn't really, but we'll get into that in a moment as well. But yeah, that's kind of like the premise of this video when it comes to like how it kind of came about. So I generally need your guys' opinions and inputs on this one, because I don't know if I'm right and I really don't know if I'm wrong. But if you're going to enjoy it anyway, consider giving it a like. Really helps me out. Subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 1000 subscribers. And, you know, let's just get into this video, right? So as I said, this video just spawned from a thought that I had about RuneScape. And before we all gonna comment, no, they don't know, all they care about is MTX, making money, blah 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 blah. Yes, the upper management of Jagex cares about making money with MTX, and they're making money, and the majority of that money is not getting invested back in the team, or at least we don't see it being invested back in the team. I talked about this, we've been known, and I think we can all agree on the fact that the money is there within the company Jagex. So like the overhauling company, like actual Jagex. But the money isn't getting trickled down to the teams as much as we as a player base. And I think probably the developers as well think that it needs to be, and it should happen as well. Because obviously the game itself is the lifeline. But even the higher ups, even if you don't agree with it, even the higher ups at Jagex are very much benefited by the game being in a very healthy state, because the more healthy the game is, the more new players, the more regular players there are in the game, the more money they will make, and that is all that they care for. And obviously for us, a healthy game means a great game to play. And I mean, RuneScape is an amazing game to play as it is, but you know, I just want to clarify it. And it sucks that in every video that I discuss about anything to do with Jagex, the direction of the game, the future of the game, if it's worth playing, whatever, I always need to mention MTX, because people are so caught up in those memes that, you know, oh yeah, the RuneScape is all about MTX. Bro, if you want to buy a Maxscape, and I talked about this and I don't want to get into it too much, it literally will cost you 15 grand, and that was in 2017 or 2016, so it will probably be 20 grand now. So shut up, bro. Like, it's not pay to win. It's pay to win if I can buy a weapon with money that you cannot get via gameplay. But putting that all to aside, let's go back to the actual subject at hand, being the game and the future of it, and why I think Jagex is really torn. And as I mentioned earlier, I watched the live stream with the new Mod-Keeper. Shout out to Dutch guy, by the way. I was laughing my ass off, because obviously I'm Dutch as well. If you didn't know, I'm Dutch. You guys probably guessed it, especially the Dutch people. I always find it very funny. Dutch people always guess it, and then other people sometimes struggle with it because my accent is a bit all over the place. But anyway, the Twitch chat was all like colonized in Dutch, and I just had me crack it up. I just had to share that with you guys. Anyway, he seemed like a genuine guy, and you probably think like, oh yeah, you probably would think that because you're like a white knight when it comes to Jagex and blah blah blah. No, I just like to look at the positives, and you know, I like to give people a chance, and you know, he seems genuine, and he seems like his job is to function between the upper management of Jagex and the team itself. Like, he is obviously the like responsible person for where the game goes, and obviously he is probably the person that the upper management tells to, hey, we need to make this amount of money, hey, we want to have these amount of MTX promos, get to it. And he talked about how he works, and I think that is very interesting to mention, and I'm very curious for anyone who works, period, if this is like a Dutch thing or if this is like an international thing, because I remember when I was in my uni course, I saw this a lot where, you know, within like Dutch working culture, the responsibility is really put to the people actually making the game or making the content or doing the actual work. So it's not like the leadership just delegating everyone around and being like, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, but more so like, hey, okay, so you guys are the expert, what do you guys think? And then with all that input, the executive or the manager or whatever you want to call him makes the decision on what's going to happen, which I think is a way better thing, because obviously someone who works with whatever they're doing, in this case a game like RuneScape, knows way better than someone who is just upper management and doesn't really work with like the game. So I thought that was a really, really positive that he talked about within the live stream. And he also touched a bit on the future of RuneScape, and that's kind of where, you know, I'm kind of sad that they didn't go into more detail. Obviously, they talked about like the content that is coming up, and that's very interesting to me. But I kind of wanted to, because he talked about the long-term vision of the game, but didn't really mention it. Like, he wanted to start that smart working, so like being more efficient with what they do and being better at what they do, so improving on the way they work and getting the content out better and better communication with the community and all that. And obviously, it's all political talk, and obviously he wants to make a good impression, but I generally think that he is there to do so, because otherwise, why would you take that job, right? Like, obviously it will pay more, but I generally think that if you're there, you kind of want to make a positive impact, or at least I would when I would be promoted to something like that. Like, I would love to guide people to, or a team to success, and like, how sick would it be if you're the moderator where RuneScape hit its second golden age at, for example? That would be sick, right? So I generally think that he cares about it, and that he generally wants it to succeed. And as I said, he is not from corporate. He functions in between. So he is definitely benefited by the game doing well. But at the same time, it is still political talk, and I'm fully aware of that. And, you know, he talked about like, oh yeah, we want the game to be in a healthy state and, you know, future-proof when it comes to technology-wise, but also gameplay-wise. And we want to work with the community to see what you guys want when it comes to like content. Do you guys want more bosses, more quests, etc.? And that is all good and well, and I agree with it. But if I look at it from the inside out, I feel like Jagex is a bit torn between two things. The first thing being keeping the current player base, and the second thing being getting new players in. And I think those things are not really going hand in hand, which really sucks. And you're probably thinking, how's that not going hand in hand? Because, you know, some people are generally under the impression where, you know, if you release Zok, for example, which is endgame content, people who will see the content of Zok will be like, hey, that is sick content, I want to reach that, which obviously is a fair point, and it is true to a certain extent, but in reality, a lot of people will see that and be like, hey, that's sick content, I want to reach that, and then either do their research or start playing the game and realize that it will take hundreds and hundreds of hours to reach that content, if not thousands of hours, because you're a new player and you won't be able to play the game as efficiently as we who know the game. So that brings in the issue that it doesn't really bring in new players. Maybe like a few people that, you know, will touch the game. It maybe will bring back some players that haven't played in a while but know the game, but no like new blood. And something like the mobile release was supposed to bring in new players, and I think it did that, especially because when I streamed and when, you know, I even in my YouTube comments sometimes, like, people mention that they started playing because of the mobile release, because either the computer couldn't handle it, or like the actual RuneScape, that they've always been interested in the game, or that they just picked it up because it was a free game and really enjoyed it and kept on playing. But still, the issues, like, mobile doesn't solve the issues of RuneScape, and I made a video about that recently, but if RuneScape could still go to a golden age and the issues with RuneScape, so if you're more interested in that, go check that out as well. But it doesn't solve the issues. It doesn't solve the issues about RuneScape being a complicated game, it having a steep learning curve, it having a lot of content that is very overwhelming, not knowing really what to do within the game when you're a new player. It requires a lot of research, and yet again, there's so many other games on the market that are so much more incentivizing gameplay and just making it a lot easier to hop into as a newer player, which all are issues that mobile doesn't really solve, even though we got a new tutorial, but still, it is not enough. And I think, like, I genuinely think if Jagex want to solve that issue, including, because a lot of people mention that and always get to me, like, graphically updating things to make it more appealing, which definitely is something that, I mean, I don't really mention because I personally don't care about it, and that's kind of like me being short-sighted, I guess. And me being, you know, ignorant to this, but it is important to a lot of people how good the game looks. And I think the game looks great, but, you know, better graphics, like the player model rework and other, like, visual changes to the game really work with the appeal as well. But yet again, it doesn't solve the fundamental issue of how the gameplay works, how the game functions when it comes to teaching new players, etc. Like, that issue will remain there, and that is something Jagex actively needs to do something about. And I gave my solution in that same video I mentioned earlier, but why I'm bringing this up is mainly because those are the issues that I think needs to be fixed, and I think those issues will take a lot of development time and a lot of care, and I think that those issues could take away from the end game players and the mid to end game players, because as said in the beginning of the video, unless Jagex is going to invest more money, Jagex need to make concessions when it comes to gameplay and when it comes to things that they put into the game, because, you know, they only have this much money to go around and this big of a team, and obviously they can work on multiple projects at the same time, but something like a full rework of the early game, as I want to see, and more incentivizing the gameplay and making it easier, and graphical updates, those are all very big updates that will take a lot of resources away, and that is where I think that balance comes in, where I think it's going to be very difficult for Jagex, because do you do that and take out a lot of resources and give us maybe, because, you know, this year is looking good when it comes to updates. We're getting a endgame quest, we're getting a Elder God Wars boss with an elite dungeon, which is a lot of content in my opinion. We're getting the Willy rework, and they didn't say what is in there. I mean, I would assume that there would actually be some content in there, and if that all comes out this year with what already came out, I think it's a pretty decent year. I mean, it's not last year, but I think last year was a peak and a very special year, but still, that's a very solid year when it comes to updates, and, you know, we've already had some good bug fixes as well, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is a decent, good year, but, you know, what if they were actually working on a player model rework and working on a early game? Then maybe half these updates would not even come out, and some of you wouldn't be angry about it, but what I'm trying to say is, then you're driving away the already existing player base, and, you know, updating the graphics and updating, like, the tutorial is not a guarantee to get new players in. So what do you do as Jagex? Do you focus on getting the new players, focus on the new audience, and, you know, by doing so, maybe pushing away the older players, the more, like, dedicated ones, and, you know, them not playing because there's no updates, or, you know, some of the new updates don't really work with them, and they think that they ruin the game, and, you know, they quit or take a break, and then during the break they kind of realize, hey, you know what, there are actually other cool games about, or, you know what, all the time that I've left now not playing RuneScape is kind of sick, you know, all those, like, things could happen when you push away your players, and that's scary. And I guess that is really scary for Jagex as well, because, as I said, like, all those updates you could do for new players, or just, you know, expanding the player base or getting players back into the game, isn't a guaranteed. That is not like just, oh, I will update this so I will get new players. That is not a guaranteed. And that's very scary for Jagex. And that's why I think they're torn on what to do. Because what do? Do you focus on the existing player base? Or do you focus on getting new players in? And I don't know. I personally think that you should try and get new players in. And in my opinion, they should just invest more money into, like, just a separate team that just works on that. On the new player experience. That would be amazing, but that will probably not happen. And I gotta bring you to the end of the video as well, and I know it's a bit of a cliffhanger, but as I said, I don't have an opinion on this. I don't really have an opinion on whether this is true what I'm saying, or that I'm absolutely totally talking out of my butt. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think Jagex is torn between things? Because like the actual team, right? Not the company. The company knows what they want. They want money, bro. They want all the money that they can make. But I think they also know that to make money, you need a good game. And for the long term, you need a good game to be made. So you need to make some updates to get new players in, because older players will only quit at some point. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know this might be a random bit all over the place video, but I just really wanted to make it. Like, I genuinely have been putting really, like, a lot of thought in it, because I think it's a lot of fun. Like, I think it's a very, very fun topic to think about. But, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Really do appreciate it. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new. As I said, we're still on the road to 1,000 subscribers. You're a legend if you made it to this point. And my name is Jagex, and I'll see you guys in my next video.